Another deal that I am curious about is Aaron Gordon to Denver and what that does for that team. Because we always talk about, the Western Conference is a two-team race between the two LA teams, and then no matter what happens, and then the hierarchy goes down to the Utah Jazz, and then Denver Nuggets are right there with the Utah Jazz as a really good team, but we haven't really seen anything from them just yet to say, oh, they're a title contender right now. Where we could just say they're a bona fide title contender. I don't know if this Aaron Gordon trade necessarily makes them a title contender, but I'm intrigued. I think that they're in the Miami category of like
dangerous.
I don't know what this team is, but I wouldn't be surprised if they figured out a way to get to the finals, at the very least, the conference finals. Do you think that am I wrong for feeling this way, Chris?
It's a great trade for them. It's a bunch of pieces that they probably didn't have either room or use for. RJ Hampton, Gary Harris, and like some picks, right? To get Aaron Gordon, who is definitely going to immediately be a starter and make them like a kind of pairs with Michael Porter Jr. to like have like a very, very long athletic wings. I'm not so sure, the MPJ defense question is going to be pressing, but if you can get Aaron Gordon to buy into playing stretch four, and then you unlock all of his cutting, all of his physicality with Jokic's passing. I don't know. I mean, I love this deal for them. And I think the thing with Gordon is this is the deal that the other teams are going to be kicking themselves for not making. This is the deal that Portland's going to kick themselves for not making, that Boston's
Golden State is too, honestly. You said that, because I think that one of those things that you said, and I want to get back to what it means for Denver, but you brought up a great point with the Warriors. Everything I've ever said about the Warriors after this dynasty is the thing that's missing from them, from the Chicago Bulls and the San Antonio Spurs dynasty, is that they haven't reinvented themselves yet. They haven't actually done it. They've been like, okay, we're going to wait and see. And this has been a criticism from their fan base, is we are always stuck in those glory days, and we are not reinventing ourselves to make more glory days. And I think Aaron Gordon would have been a great piece for that. At least showing that, I don't know if it would have it's probably not going to make you a championship contender, but at least show that you're trying. And I think that, to your point about getting Aaron Gordon going to Denver, that absolutely shows that Denver is trying to take that next step.
Yeah.
And the thing with Denver is they're a team that it's almost like they did too good of a job with the front office. Like, they have just such a embarrassment of riches in how they drafted, to the point where all these guys aren't going to be on the team when it's all said and done. The final form of this team, all the people that they drafted are not going to be there because there's just not enough roles. They're too good to just stay in these roles, right? So I'm curious to see how this works out with Aaron Gordon.
You're right. I mean, they've had to get, like, they've done too good of a job building that roster. I think I would be curious to know whether they would take the Jeremy Grant situation back. I know that Jeremy Grant also wanted to go somewhere where he would be the focal point of a team, like in Detroit. But Gary Harris is a perfectly good example of like a guy who I thought was incredibly useful for the first few years of his career coming out of Michigan State. And at times I was like, man, that guy would like look really good wearing a Sixers uniform. And, now he gets to be... Now he gets to like go and I think maybe get a fresh start in Orlando. But as far as Gordon goes, like, was Gordon's best ability his availability at this trade deadline? Like, do you think he got overrated slightly just because he was one of the bigger names being thrown out there?
Maybe, but I think that also this gives him an opportunity to
really show who he is, right?
Really show who he is, right? Because maybe he's not a franchise guy, like a franchise cornerstone, and that's okay. I think that a lot of times when we go into the draft, we see a guy that's a top 15 pick, and we're like, yo, he's a franchise. He's got to be the face of our franchise. And Aaron Gordon, he's a Bay dude. He's from San Jose. I got love for Aaron Gordon. He's just not I don't think he's not a franchise-altering guy. He just showed that. But he's a really, really, really good player. Similar to Andre Iguodala when you were playing when he played for the Sixers, right? He was thought of as this franchise dude, and he just wasn't necessarily that. He finally got to see his worth with the Golden State Warriors and some with the Denver Nuggets. But I think that Aaron Gordon is in that same kind of sphere of really, really, really good, maybe an overqualified role player.
Yeah.
That can really help a team. Another thing that I'm curious about is when you have these guys like a Jeremy Grant and a Gary Harris who think that they've outplayed their role. And then I think the downside to that is that they go to, Jeremy Grant goes to a Detroit and he is the guy, but he's not necessarily the guy. He's not the franchise guy. He just got paid and he got the chance to maybe show that he can be the franchise guy, and he's not necessarily that. At what point do players have to just have a little bit more self-awareness to say, I'm just this Denver situation might just be the best situation for me right now, and I can win chips right here, or I can try to prove myself that I'm the franchise guy for a losing team?
That's a great question. I mean, your fourth contract
yeah.
for Jeremy Grant.
Yep, that's
Jeremy
fair,
Grant got paid to go to Detroit, where he will put up geeked out numbers, and then he will get another great deal off of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or Detroit, if he gets bored of losing and getting 20-10, Detroit can trade him for a boatload of picks to somebody. You know what I mean? So, or they
get your bread.
Exactly. So I think like once it's like the Jay Crowders of the world can worry about their roles, but Jeremy Grant is like, he's gonna be like, I'm gonna make an all-star team as a Detroit Piston, and we might suck, but like I'll get paid, and then once it gets to that point, I can always move on to go back to a contender.
So I want to talk about the other side of this Aaron Gordon Denver trade. What do you see? What's with the Orlando Magic, man? Because they're a team that historically they've had two great players, two Hall of Fame players, Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard. You can put Penny in there, but Penny got injured. I'm talking about two prime guys that puts them on the map. But they have failed to kind of find an identity in between those times. And I think Aaron Gordon is a big symbol of that.
For sure.
To where, they're trying to get this franchise guy. They're trying to be relevant, but they just haven't been able to do so. Where do they go from here? Where does Orlando go?
This is the teardown, because we haven't said his name yet, but they traded Nikola Vucevic too. So the Magic, who I have to admit, I make a point of never watching. Like I'm trying to watch the Magic tonight.
I will say, I
watched a little bit for Fultz, but like
one of the most boring games I've ever been to in person was the quarantine season was the Golden State Warriors with none of their stars, and it was a matinee game in Orlando. It was like a pickup game would have been more enjoyable than what I had to watch.
What it felt like, yeah. The thing I would say in the Magic's defense is that they do the one thing that no other franchise in the NBA seems to be able to do, with the exception of maybe like the Pacers, which is actually just like believe in the guys that they've drafted and keep running them out there and seeing if they get any better. Like they literally did just say like, you know what, we picked all these dudes and we like our team, and maybe I don't know whether or not there's like an issue with like guys not wanting to go play in Orlando, or they overvalue their players, so they can't make any kind of big time trades. But I feel like I've been watching Fournier, Terrence Ross, Vooch, and Gordon for like most of my adult life. I know it hasn't been that long, but it definitely just feels like that, where you're like, damn, that show is still on the air. They're still making. They're still making Chicago PD, huh?
Yeah, they're still making Brooklyn Nine-Nine. No, what I don't get, it seems like a farm system sometimes for other teams, right? Because Victor Oladipo went through Orlando. Aaron Gordon now. Like a farm system to develop role players for other successful teams, it seems like right now. And I kind of, in a weird way, I just feel for them. I want them to be relevant. I want Orlando to be relevant in this league. And it just seems like they always have a lot of start and stops. And some of that isn't their fault. They didn't foresee Dwight Howard leaving the way he left, right? They didn't, a lot of things didn't go their way, especially, Shaq leaving was just catastrophic. And then they finally recover, become a factor again. And then this happened. So I don't know, man. I
think we'll look back and just really think about the Isaac and Bamba picks, because the Isaac pick leaving, Mitchell and Adebayo and other guys on the board there, and I just think that they've drafted poorly over the last few years, and it's more than almost any other team. It seems like it's really come back to bite them.
Yeah, definitely.
And they haven't had that. They haven't hit on like the LaMelo guy where you're like, damn, this just absolves us of all our past sins.